Hi everybody, it's Ken Reed along with Chief Umpire Richard Slater. We're here to talk about one of the situations that I think the sailing world is talking about. And Richard, we all know that is the final race of the Prada Cup between Ineos and Luna Rossa and the port starboard on the starting line. And I think at the time I actually asked you a couple questions on air, of which I think the first one was a good one. The second one was my frustration as a sailor coming out. I saw it as a port starboard. Before we get into the analysis of the whole thing though, let's go back and actually go on the water and see it in real time.
They are both early. There's no question they're both early. Both could be starting on port tack at this stage. Ainsley might not be out of the woods yet.
Come out of this. Okay, got it. No, don't think so.
Protest up from Luna Rossa at the start of race 8.
Yeah, I will flag it.
I will.
No lower.
Whoa!
Okay, good angle.
Coming to the line.
Game on, race 8.
Bring on, boys.
Port starboard, Ainsley was still so early he had to tack.
The Italian boat crossed the line early. They must slow down 50 meters.
So Richard, as we saw, the Prada boat coming from behind clearly thought there was a foul. They pushed the button. They pushed the penalty button. That's number one. If you think there's a foul in the water, there's a penalty button.
Correct.
You guys, we're sitting in your booth here. This is the world of umpiring as we know it these days. Digital umpiring. All the decisions are made here in this room to the accuracy of
2 centimeters.
2 centimeters. It's pretty accurate. We'll give you that. Give or take 2 centimeters amongst friends. All right, so let's slowly go through it. What we have here is Richard's, is the umpire's data on the computer. This is how they are seeing the race. They don't see it in pretty pictures. They see it digitally on a screen. The yellow boat is the Italians. The green boat is the British, and we'll slowly roll through this. Remember, the Italians are behind in this scenario right now. The British are early for the starting line. We're calling them as early. Something's going to have to be done here.
Yep. At a certain point, the British go onto port.
They tack when it turns red, and the other boat bears off. Now, just bear with me for a second. As the one question I was trying to ask you, and I didn't get it out quite right because I never ask questions very well, is that when the green boat or the Italians is coming up, they have a pin end of the starting line right here. My question to you was, right there, that boat is now on port tack, right? The British have gone through the wind, which means they are officially on port tack.
Yep.
Now, the Italians may or may not have a piece of them right now. What do you determine? Do they have a piece? Is there going to be contact? Do you even know at this stage?
In umpire world, we do 2 things. We first recognise now who is the right-of-way boat, and that's swapped from the British to the Italians.
Right.
Then our exercise is to say, well, okay, what are the British doing? Are they keeping clear? We have a tool, and we can use what we call the ghost boat, where we take the projected course and speed of the boats, and we just project them 4 seconds ahead. So that's saying if the boats were to keep going on the courses they were doing, this is where they would be. And we use that as we found for trial and error that 4 seconds is a good guide before something gets very serious.
Okay.
So in our case, we've got in 4 seconds, it will be about 4 seconds for the Italians to get to roughly where.
But that's if they don't move, because right now your computer is saying the British boat is going to be up here and the Italian boat is going to be here in 4 seconds. So technically no collision.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll play it through probably one before we then go back and step it.
Okay.
So as you can see, there's a point where they have crossed. What we can also see though is the Italians in this period have also luffed further. They've come up further. And that was the bit where we recognise that when they've come up as the right-of-way boat, they now need to then give the British room to get clear.
So even though the British tacked into a give-way boat position, they put themselves there, by the way.
Correct.
This boat is not allowed to head up at all. And I think you determined that the Italians headed up something like 11 degrees here?
About 11, 12 degrees.
Okay.
I'll pick you up on a rule here, Kenny.
Okay.
The boat The boat
I
is
never
allowed.
want to let the truth stand in the way of a good story, by the
Yeah.
way. Rules are not my forte, as most people who have sailed against
That's
me.
all right.
Yeah.
Rules guys know the rules, but we don't win many races. The Italians are allowed to change course. They're the right-of-way boat. What it is, it's an obligation for them to give the keep clear boat room to keep clear. So the get out of jail card, every time you change course, give the guy a chance to keep away from them. When it really boils down to it.
Okay.
And so I don't want to sit there and say they can't come up. It is now, when you make a change of course, give them the opportunity now to keep away from it.
Again, even though that boat put themselves in that,
Well,
seemingly vulnerable position.
yes, but before they put themselves in that position, or before, I should say, when they put themselves in that position, we were convinced or happy that the Italians would be going to stern of the missing, able to sail the course they were sailing.
Okay, and again, that's their shadow boat in 4 seconds. That's their shadow boat in 4 seconds. Your software is saying no collision.
Yep.
Okay. So let's run it forward, and I have one more question here. So what you've said so far is if this boat doesn't alter their course towards them, they're going to miss them. Therefore, that's why the port starboard was waved off.
Correct.
Okay. Second question is, they also kind of headed up because they wanted to start the race. At one stage, they were actually heading below the starting line here. So that's what I was trying to say. That was my question. There it is. They're heading below the line right here. I think all of us in the sailing world have started at the pin end of the line, and somebody's tried to bail out, or somebody's early, or somebody's tried to get out of there, and this boat heads up, and sure enough, there's a collision or there's a problem. There's a lot of screaming. We know that.
Yep.
What you're saying is there is no obligation that this boat should be allowed to start the race. If this was happened closer, this boat's obligation would actually be to sail by the starting mark on the wrong side. Is that what you're saying?
If once we're satisfied that the port tack boat is at that point keeping clear, yes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That was my question I was trying to ask you, by the way, on live.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
All right, one final question here. And for all of us who say, let's just imagine 35 J70s on the starting line here. You're sitting here and you see the subtlety of an 11-degree turn. I mean, it is subtle, even on this screen,
Agreed.
it's super subtle. How is the sailing world supposed to manage itself in a situation like this? Because I would say 99 times out of 100, this protest is going to happen. It's going to come to you in the jury room after the race, and you're going to throw out this boat because they put themselves in a vulnerable place.
Correct. The difference here is that we have now the technology to see exactly where the boats are.
So do you see a rule do you see changes to the rules to help this out? Because it really becomes totally impossible to police on the water without this apparatus.
In a fleet race, you've got other factors. Because in a fleet race, you've also got a whole bunch of boats to windward. Mm-hmm. So it may not, the port boat may keep clear of the first boat on starboard, but it won't probably be keeping clear of the second and third boat up the line, just because of where they're aiming. So I don't see it as a huge change or anything like that. This rule applies, and it's similar to that one we had, again, how 16 works on that downwind setting.
Right.
It's if a boat's keeping clear, then you change course, give them a chance to get out of there.
There you go. Richard Slater, Chief Umpire. You heard it here first.